Yes, sir. Welcome to the Power Hour. DJ Oakley here, Billy Mack there, Paul Munson there, and yes, it is the bald headed show here today. The three of us, as Billy likes to call the tripod. Um, our guys are all over the map here tonight. So we're trying to do the dirty work here on the Power Hour to make sure everybody's freed up and has their games tonight. Let's get to those games. But first, we have to say it is Happy National App Day. And the question of the day becomes, what is your favorite app? What is your go-to? The one that you use the most, the screen time, whatever you want to call it. What's the app you go to the most? Billy Mack, I know you use your phone a lot. What's your number one app?
My number one app is probably, it's probably got to be Facebook or Instagram. Those two, I guess they're kind of the same thing, really, but that's probably the biggest one I use all the time. Social media.
Yep, absolutely. Paulie, how about you?
Yeah, I'd have to say Facebook's probably my number one, but Golden Tee is my close number two.
Golden Tee?
Oh, yeah.
The golf game?
The golf game. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay, respect. Mine is the YSN app. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Company.
Absolutely free. Download it today in the App Store or the Google Play Store, if that's a real thing still. They keep changing the name on that. But also social media. We use, obviously Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but we use an app that kind of brings everything together, kind of wraps it all up in one package called Hootsuite that we really appreciate. Saves us a ton of time, Anthony and myself. So, so I'm on the social media bandwagon as well. We do a lot on social media, and that's how we engage our fans. And, of course, tonight we engage our fans for a ton, and I mean a ton, of games. Boys basketball is on the agenda, obviously, but we also have wrestling coming up here in about 2 hours where we have Fitch, Chardon, Edgewood, and Howland all doing battle at Austintown. Fitch, a new man on the scene. Brock, do we even know the last name?
I don't. Oh, yeah, Kimball. There it is.
Brock Kimball. Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say
Brian said he knows him. He's the guy who took over for the media at Fitch.
All right. So welcome, Brock, to the YSN
Mr. Kimball,
team.
kindergarten cop.
It's not a tumor.
Put the cookie down now. That's my favorite Christmas.
We're going to play a game. Who's your daddy and what does he do?
Who's your daddy and what does he do? Brock Kimball, welcome to the team, the stream team here at YSN. We appreciate you, and we are excited for your call tonight. Fitch versus Chardon versus Edgewood versus Howland. Let's go Falcons. Basketball-wise, a lot on the agenda. What? Huh? What?
I don't know if Howland would be there. Howland's Trumbull County, right?
See, so they're listed. You're right. You're right.
No way. Howland's still shut down until after the first of the year. All sports.
They're toast. So it's Chardon, Edgewood, and Fitch. So good look, Paul. Good look. I didn't even think
maybe they found another outsider team to come.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
We'll find out. And Brock's going to tell us all about it at 5 o'clock right here on YSN. Basketball tonight. Beaver Local versus Indian Creek. We will have that game at 7 p.m. Mikey McNuggies will have it, of course, our voice of the Beavers. Then Boardman Louisville. I like this game a lot. I really like this game. Really jealous of Alec calling this game tonight. Louisville had them on last night for wrestling. They always turn out. It is going to be another booming night on the network from a stats perspective. This is another good one. Canfield versus West Branch.
Oh, yeah.
Canfield versus West Branch. If you're looking for good basketball, you don't have to look very far for that one. Canfield versus West Branch. Let's get to some of the chatter here. Carrie saying bald is beautiful.
Hey, she's driving right now, too. What is she doing? She just picked up the kids. Driving, watching the show.
We appreciate the commitment, but we're looking after your safety, Carrie.
Maybe she stopped at a stoplight. She's good.
Or that prison game, the one he's always playing when I'm talking to him. What prison game?
It's some kind of tycoon idol. Yeah.
Oh, I totally understood that wrong. I thought maybe because the baldies, all three of us are bald. She was talking about we're in the prison with the prison game. Never mind.
We look like a really bad game of Clue right now. You know what I mean? Like,
we're a bunch of Telly Savalas imitators.
Beto says Twitter. Between him and Patessa, I don't know who's a better follow on Twitter. Song Pop, Mardell saying Song Pop is his favorite app. Bernie says will not be. I'm gonna guess
Howland's out.
Howland's out. Happy birthday, Harley Novak. And Eric Bailey saying, here's the trick. You said app, and I was going to say mozzarella sticks or wings. Oh, goodness.
If you wouldn't have clarified that, that would have been a good one. And mine would have been mozzarella sticks.
That is a good one. Let's get through. I have a serious thing to get to here in a little bit, so I want to get through these games so we can talk a little bit about it. Canfield West Branch tonight. Richie's got that call, as always, the voice of 224. Mooney and Fitch canceled, so Ty is going to be picking up the game that I was scheduled for, which was Jackson Milton and Lowellville. It is senior night in Jackson Milton, so we'll go on a little bit early. Scheduled tip-off is for 7 p.m. I don't know if they're going to do it between JV and varsity, which typically I would assume would be the case, hopefully. So Ty will be on the case there. Mark Franken back in the saddle, covering a very good Heartland Christian team. Camel's going to be explosive, so that's going to be a fun game to watch as well. We mentioned Ty doing Jackson Milton versus Lowellville. Also canceled tonight, Lisbon versus Valley Christian. Valley Christian under the COVID category. So no Blue Devils tonight. And then you have Sebring versus Western Reserve. Jason's going to have that game for us at 7 o'clock. And then another really, really interesting game, South Range versus Poland. You could throw the records right out the window whenever you talk about those two teams in whatever sport it is. Ant and B. Miller going to have that call. Struthers and Jefferson canceled. Paul, what's the reason?
Jefferson, yeah, they backed out. So.
Okay, so no game there for Struthers and Jefferson. Poe and Larry, excuse me, will have the Crestview versus United game. A big game because former TCL foes taking on each other once again. That game going to be in Crestview. And then, of course, Ian, the voice of the Ursuline Irish, will have Ursuline versus North Royalton at 7 o'clock. All games are set for 7 p.m. tips. So 7 o'clock is the witching hour at YSN tonight. So make sure if you're out and about and you want to see a game somewhere else, if you're at another gym, lucky enough to get that ticket, make sure you play the Firefly and tune into ysnlive.com. We'll have all the previews on Facebook, so you can click around. But those, if you just go to ysnlive.com/live, you'll be able to have the hyperlinks straight to wherever you want to go. And as always, it is free, and we want to thank our sponsors. We made it public today. The ink has dried. WRS Wealth Advisors has completely footed the bill for the basketball season, so there is no pay-per-view. There is no need for a YSN power play. You can watch any games, all the time. And then, as always, from the archive side, it's $2.99 for any game that you want to have forever. We send you the link after you put in your credit card information, PayPal information, however you do that. And then you can have the game forever. If there's any issues, you can email our support, which is Brian Scott or myself. So be gentle, please. We're trying to make it work for you. And then what was the other thing I wanted to go over real quick?
I got an email right here about a new tournament coming up.
Yes, the Salem? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, the first annual Salem Holiday Classic.
Yeah, so as always, we partner with South Range. We started this 2 years ago, Paul, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, that one's still going on too, I think.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying we'll have the South Range Holiday Hoops Classic. Donnie Farron and I got together years ago and got it set up. A lot of good talent from the girls' side coming into that gym, and we'll have that again this year. But also, we will have the Salem. Excuse me, it's going to be called the boys basketball holiday classic. I always get messed up when they say BBK. I don't know why it throws my brain off. So the first annual Salem Holiday Classic will start Tuesday, December 22nd, varsity only. and it's going to be Poland versus Ursuline at 5 o'clock, Salem versus Columbiana at 7:30. Gives chance for the crowds to move in and out and to get things cleaned out. So I can appreciate where Matt Freeman's doing on that, the AD at Salem. And then on Wednesday, it's going to be basically an all-day event. 2 o'clock, the JV of the losing varsity teams will play on Wednesday, December 23rd at 2 o'clock. At 3:30, the varsity losing teams will play. And then 6 o'clock, the JV will play of the winning varsity teams. And then the 7:30 main event, I guess you could say, is the varsity winning teams will play at 7:30. So we will also have, I want to inform you, the Brian Davidson Memorial Wrestling Tournament on Saturday, January 16th at 10 a.m. at Salem, which wrestling has really picked up here on the network. We got it on today. We had it on yesterday. We've got swimming now. So I'm excited to be able to cover more and more athletes all the time. That's the big thing for us. You know, yes, we love our mainstay sports, our softball, our baseball, our football, our basketball, our volleyball. But man, when we can get wrestling, bowling, swimming, it just warms my heart. Soccer, you know, it's a great opportunity for all these kids to get even more recognition for what they deserve. So with that being said,
I have the Hoops Classic here, and we'll talk about it more too when it gets closer, but it's the December 28th and 29th. It's the third annual one. I mean, just listen to some of these teams that are coming in. It's girls hoops, Hoban, Western Reserve, Lutheran East, Salem, South Range, Boardman, Ursuline, and Canfield.
Man, that's going to be fun. That's going to be
right
fun.
After Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Think about that, too. Right before Christmas, you get a great holiday classic at Salem. Right after Christmas, you get another one here at South Range with a bunch of good teams. I mean, it's going to be hoops wall to wall for Christmas.
And that's it. And all of this is brought to you by YSN and WRS Wealth Advisors. So thank you.
TK and the gang over there.
So much. I mean, I can't even tell you, because this was a thought that we kind of presented to them, and we said, hey, because there's so many people. I mean, football was bad, but basketball is really bad, right? 2 tickets to each family. That's tough. I mean, there's a lot of aunts and uncles, a lot of fans, a lot of friends, family that want to see their kids play. So WRS Wealth Advisors stepping up to the plate. You said it, TK, our main guy over there, and South Range grad. We have Ryan Miller, who's on that staff, who's a very proud graduate of South Range High School.
TK's a Tiger.
And he is a Springfield Tiger. So, thanks to them, because there's a lot of people that, are in dire straits here in the holiday season. And obviously, we're a business, so we have to be able to pay our bills as well in order to do this. And WRS stepped up and said, listen, we got it. Let the people watch the games for free, and we'll take care of it. And surely enough, today, scratched it off. They're good to go. And we will be bringing you, we are anticipating it's going to be in the new year. It was supposed to start tonight. So a programming update. Open Look is something we're going to be bringing to you, similar to the Audible Call in football season. Open Look is going to be our basketball version of the Audible Call. Naturally, the games are free anyway. However, having a legend like Mike Ackelson, Nick Zeronis, and having the coaches chair open to have coaches come in and talk about basketball and the X's and O's of it is going to be exciting for us. So that will start. It was supposed to begin tonight. Due to some safety concerns, some COVID restrictions, we are going to push that to a later date to be determined. The latest date we're talking about is early January. We're kind of monitoring the situation in Trumbull County and a couple other of these schools before we get it started, because like tonight, we ran down 10 games, 11 games that we have tonight. 9 games, so, and plus a wrestling match. So you look at that from our perspective, you can still watch any game you want in its entirety, or you can sit on one station on one network and just watch us flip back and forth between them where the excitement is. A little bit different because football, you're there for touchdowns. Basketball, you're there for action and games that are really, really good. So that'll be down the line a little bit, maybe a couple weeks max. But we just want to make sure from our standpoint that everybody stays safe and we have enough games to cover, on a given night. So, guys, one of the things we wanted to talk about real quick, I wanted to make aware of a young man, Russ Hetrick, at Crestview, who is battling leukemia right now, and he's I believe a sophomore, 16-year-old sophomore from Crestview High School in Columbiana. He was diagnosed this month with acute leukemia, and there's a long road ahead for him. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the GoFundMe into the chat as I just did. So they created a GoFundMe for Russ. He's had a rough upbringing to begin with. He got a kind of the short stick, if you will, and if you have it in your heart to help somebody out, again, this is a sophomore from one of our area teams in Crestview, or one of our family teams. If you have it in your heart to help, fantastic. Whether you can volunteer or monetary donations and things there's no amount that's too little, and obviously the more you can help, the better for this young man. I think they're set out. They want to raise $50,000 for insurance bills and purposes, and the family's going to be up against it. So if you can help out, fantastic. I know that there's a lot of people that are up against it, monetarily and financially this season, but it is the season of miracles. This was brought to my attention earlier today, so I want to make sure that we put it out there for them. I know there's, again, a lot of people going through a lot of stuff right now. We're not asking you, we're not telling you to do it. We're asking you, if you find it in your heart, if you feel like the Lord's leading you in that direction, then there's the GoFundMe page for you. So if you have it, go ahead for it. We're proud supporters. Anytime that we can help a family out, help a student athlete out in a tough time, we're going to do it. That's one of our core values here at YSN. So we always pray, and we continue to pray for Russ and his family and all his friends and supporters. We thank everybody for bringing it to our attention, and we'll continue to support the cause here at YSN. Turning the page. Hey, look, we got Ty Bartell in the green room. Look at this guy. Where are you at now? Where the hell does this Pier 1 come from that always comes in everybody? Is that a green screen? What is that?
No, that is the Janet Bartell special decorating that changes about every 2 weeks. That's my mother's famous decorating, and you could catch something different every couple of weeks. But yeah, we're live from Austintown, Ohio right now. After got everything set up too for a good wrestling event today at 5.
We're good to go there.
We got everything set up there, so we're all set up for wrestling today at 5.
And I appreciate you covering me for the Jackson Milton game, Ty. That should be a darn good game, and it's senior night to boot. So
him and Quinn. Quinn will be there with him.
Quinn's going to be there?
Yeah, because Quinn's taking the equipment.
So you'll have Ty that'll do all the talking, and Quinn will just be a
Scouting.
ghost in the background.
He's there to scout. He already told me.
Oh, my gosh. Does he even work for YSN anymore?
No.
Is he just Huxhol's little doll? He's
our DoorDash guy today. He's going to be delivering equipment.
My goodness. All right. Ty, we went over it's National App Day. What's your favorite app?
Are we talking like phone app
not
or
like
appetizer?
Yeah.
We already tried that
right?
one, Betos.
Actually, it was phone.
Phone app. What? Wait.
Yeah. What's your favorite phone app?
Phone app. Okay. Oh, geez. Probably Google Maps, because it saves me more than anything else right now. So I need the Google Maps definitely has been there for me one too many times when I can't rely on my own wit. So
gosh.
What a good one.
Facepalm right there. All right. One of the big things, guys, we got to get to, and I got to be honest with you, is the OHSAA at it again. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And we talked about mental health yesterday a lot. I got that great interview that I can't wait to release here tonight, right after the show. But and this is going to be weird. It's another one of those pop-ups, right? That are going to go on our screen. I want you to, you can read this as you'd like it, but what you need to pay attention to is where's my arm? The bottom, that way, the bottom part of this. So the OHSAA basically is, thanks, Paul. We're looking at this. If you read through this, you're not going to like what you hear, especially if you're a fan of GPA student athletes and putting the student first. With the decision that the OHSAA has concluded today, all student athletes will be eligible for the first grading period of 2021 and 2022 school years. And this is the big one, in parentheses, unless your district elects to uphold the standard. At that time, the students will then be required to pass an appropriate number of credits and classes in order to remain eligible for the second grading period of the 21-22 school year. Please contact da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay? That being said, that presented to you. Are we completely off the rails here from a student-athlete perspective? And do we really have to point the finger at COVID for this, or is this just a self-inflicted wound that the OHSA continues to say, whoa, we're just trying to help here. You guys can make up any rules you want, but we're just trying to make it easy for you. This is another push to the schools, and you take the blame, not us, because Paul, you hit the nail on the head. Actually, you know what? Give your point, because I think it was immaculate.
Well, because what this is doing now is the last 9 weeks of the school year, which is the spring 9 weeks, is that they are saying it doesn't matter what you do unless you're going to graduate, of course. So if you're a freshman through sophomore, even an eighth grader through junior, you don't have to pretty much pass your classes to play sports in the fall, which is garbage. It's absolute garbage. So everybody gets to play. According to the OHSAA, if you go by their rules, everybody gets to play sports in the fall no matter what. Unless, like it says, your school district upholds the standards. So now if you're a school district, say South Range, and you say, listen, we don't care what the OHSAA says. Our rules are you still got to pass this many classes to be eligible. The OHSAA just said, oh, well, our rules say you don't have to, but if your school wants to do that, it's on your school now. So they've totally pushed all the blame onto the schools to say, well, we would have made you eligible, but your school said, no, make sure you pass what you're supposed to pass. And that's crap, because all they're going to do is, like I said, you're going to have, it's unfortunate, but you're going to have some of these parents whose kids are not going to pass a lot of classes.
Yep.
Who want to play sports. They're going to say, well, OHSAA is the governing board. They say they're allowed to play, but you're making my kid not play because of this. Hey, dummy, how about you make your kid smart? Let your kid
You're calling
be a
the parent
smart
dummy,
person.
not the kid, right?
Yeah, parent.
Okay.
No, I'd never call a kid a dummy.
I
At
hope
least in
not.
their
I
face.
was like, oh boy, all right. I guess I'm going to have some parents lined up.
So, hey, parent, dummy, do you want your kid to be an illiterate person, or do you want them to be at least a contributor to society and have decent grades? That's just stupid, because that's going to happen. There's going to be a school that says, I don't care what they say. Our 4 building walls say you abide by these rules. You get this grade point average. You're allowed to play sports. We don't care what the OHSA says. They don't tell us how to run our school. That's just a suggestion for their rules. But
you kind of you hit the point for a second, Paul, but I think you skipped over it. In a world where we're already putting so much pressure on teachers, guidance counselors, principals, superintendents, coaches, and listen, they signed up for it. I get it, but they continue to keep wearing different hats. In this world we're living in, they're wearing. You just gave all the bullets to the parents to say, I don't care, about my kids' education necessarily, and you gave the kids an excuse because at the end of the day, if a kid doesn't literally, if they don't pass or don't even show up to class, they're still eligible to play sports, whether that's football, soccer, volleyball. In the fall, any sport they want, they're eligible. Cross country, they're eligible to play. And there's some coaches, and I commend these coaches for continuing to raise the bar for their student athletes. There's some coaches that will hold their kids accountable. There's some
that won't. There's some that'll be like, hey,
right?
Hey, little Johnny, I don't care you get all Fs, dude. You're a monster. Come on, let's come play football.
And the problem is, and it will continue to be, that little Johnny who gets all Fs should not be on that field, and little Jimmy who gets straight A's deserves to be on that field for what he put, the time he put into the classroom, his craft,
and guess where he's
that
at.
stuff. And he sits the bench because guess what? He runs a 5.2 and little Johnny runs a 4.2. That's going to present angst, a lot of problems, and it's going to split. It's going to divide the schools. It's going to divide. I mean, you talk about coaches and advisors and guidance counselors and teachers. Like, this is going to be a really tough dynamic for superintendents and choppy waters for principals to navigate in a time where now more than ever we have got to be together.
It's going to cause parents to be fighting with each other too. You know, they're going to be exactly what you said. One kid's mom's going to be like, or dad's be like, my kid should be playing because he gets good grades. Your kid's failing everything and he's out there playing.
So here's the other side of the story, which Coach Seidel and I continue to do this on. But he's got good points, but he sees the other side too. Bottom line is, if he can save one kid from being on the streets to going and playing football or playing a sport, is it worth it? I see that point. However, it's got to be backed up with education. You can't just bring them in. You know, and this is my point. If you bring them in and there's nothing to it, right? That kid is not going to always have football or baseball or whatever to rely on.
Because what happens in 4 years when that kid either graduates or gets pushed out the doors? He doesn't have football anymore. What's he have? Go to the streets. You know.
All right, I got a simple solution here.
All right.
So
we've been waiting.
With I've been in a lot of schools. I've coached a lot of different schools in my coaching career and multiple sports. Schools don't like to make decisions by themselves, okay? Especially when it comes to sports. You know, a lot of it is like when these guys are switching conferences, a lot of them like to deal with their rival and figure out like, hey, what are you going to do? Are you going to leave too? Are you going to what kind of decisions are you thinking about making? So they make schools, a lot of schools like to make decisions together. So get with whatever you want to do with your rival, with some certain schools or maybe schools your same size. And what are you going to plan on doing? Does not having a GPA restriction force you to not have a program, right? So if it does, right, then maybe that's something you got to think about. If it doesn't, then let's talk about our conference. What does our conference think we should do, right? How does our conference feel? Do we all agree to this? Then let's just, as a conference, the conferences can go ahead and say, hey, this is our GPA, and whether you can just keep it the same. It doesn't matter. And if you can't play conference games, then yeah, you can play the playoffs, but you're not going to play like for example for football, you're not going to play the 7 games. So you get a chance to maybe play 3 games. Coaches are going to do whatever the rules are, right? The majority of coaches are going to say, here's what the rules are. Here's what's presented to us. When it comes to Friday nights or, you know, the basketball games, we're going to do whatever we can to win a game in that moment. Now, outside of that, you might have some different coaches that want to go above and beyond and take a kid off the street or educate a kid or on both sides of that coin. So I think they need to do it together and talk to different schools and even as a conference kind of put some restrictions and rules down, because OSHA just doesn't care. They're just we want as many kids to play every sport, just to keep doing what they're doing. It's just try to take as much money from the schools as possible.
Darren Miller saying, absolutely, schools love decisions by committee on every front. No one wants to be the outlander. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, listen, I'm not hiding anything. I'm from East Palestine. I love East Palestine. Graduated here. The business is here. Stream City, USA. I live here. There's a lot of people that lost a lot of sleep last night in Stream City, USA. And I don't have to tell you that, but having to cancel basketball season, wrestling season, winter season, winter sports in East Palestine until January 11th, that caused a lot of heartache for a lot of people. And Paul, you saw seniors that never got to play baseball again for their high school.
Yep.
You're looking at an opportunity. January 11th is not something that is guaranteed stamp, right? There's no guarantee that on January 11th they're going to start playing and finish playing a month later. It is as it has been this entire time, it is a suggested start date.
Yeah.
So,
tentative.
Yeah, when you look at if you never suit up again, right? The kids who have busted their ass for 3 years don't get to play. Let's say that they're not going to play. Let's say Trumbull County doesn't come back. Everybody who pushes is not going to play, right? That's not my personal opinion. Let's just, for instance, if they don't play, but we allow people who don't have the standards to play next fall. You want to talk about, and I don't give me the life isn't fair crap. I get that. We've all been through it. That's just complete BS, because that's a double standard. These kids made it through. These kids should play. We're going to pause because of COVID, but then we get to fall. Anybody who wants to play, come on in. To me, that's just a complete double standard, because now you know your big money making is in the fall, right? It's your football, it's your volleyball, it's basketball. Yes, it can make some revenue, but it's nickels compared to football. I just feel like this whole thing is a sham. I do. For the OHSA,
two of the seasonal sports have been postponed. One was not, for the most part.
And they
made sure football happened.
I mean, and we know, yeah, and you're getting to preach on. I mean, you're spot on. I don't think there's a good scenario here with what the OHSAA did, and I want to credit Coach K out in Warren JFK for I saw that on his profile on social before we started. I know it's an engaging post, and I thank him for bringing it to our attention. I wanted to get to Coach Seidel here really quick, so sorry for blanking you two out at the bottom. But Coach Seidel's plan, get them in the door and provide the structure. I have an example. Player joins his team this year, never been eligible ever before. After having the structure, he decides he wants to play next year, gets a 2.7 first grading period, was talking about dropping out next year, now has a plan to graduate. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But,
awesome. Rudy story, right? That's a Disney story right there. But there's the other side too, right?
Yeah.
Where you find out that you can slack off a little bit and still get by.
Yeah.
And that's a scary part.
Or you incentivize that kid where you tell him, listen, hey man, I know you want to play. How about you go out there and show me some improvement in your grades, and I'll get you on the team.
Yep.
I'll get you there.
Show
me you can do this.
I don't like the idea that we lower the bar for our children.
Absolutely.
As a coach, we always raise the bar. We get them to the bar and they push through. When I'm coaching, I'm always talking about this invisible wall we got to punch through. We got to get through. It's the same thing. The coaches talk about the bar we got to reach. This is the bar. This is the bar. Imagine bringing that bar down to your feet. It's like you already got that bar. You're not reaching for anything, and you're not really challenging these kids to create that stability and that culture to be good at life going forward.
That's the difference, though, and I can't emphasize this enough. We've put more importance on hanging banners every year for
the diplomas
above. I don't even want to say above average work for average work than we have hanging, trophies in our trophy case and putting trophies in our trophy case for actual achievements, right? It's a participation trophy world we're living in, but instead of actually going and winning the league or going and getting the promotion because you deserve it, You know, there's an old adage that I go about. Gary Vee talks about it all the time. He wants to have the tallest building in New York City, but you have to do it the right way. You stack the bricks yourself, brick by brick. You don't go and burn other buildings down and brag that you have the tallest building in the city. That's not how it works. That's the way people think now. Is I can cut the other person down to make myself look taller instead of actually growing myself and getting to that next level, next level, next level. Like, we look at conferences. It's a perfect example. In the world that we live in, college and high school, a lot of these conferences are breaking up because one team has all the wins. That's not, to me, that's not a reason to break up a conference. Step your game up. If they're winning all the time, guess what? Get better. Get better. So if you're not making grades, you got to study harder, right? You got to put the time in. Take less time on the Nintendo. Take less time, watching your favorite shows or binging on Netflix, and put the time in. Nobody wants to put the time in anymore to be good at something, and that's frustrating to me. And I feel like this is another example of the OHSAA saying, "Listen, you can come play whatever you want as long as we can make money off of that. You're good." And the schools, they put the schools in a terrible position because the schools are going to have to answer, the guidance counselors, the teachers are going to have to answer for the grades dropping. Because everybody's going to slack.
So the worst part is it's high school. It's high school. Like, I mean, come on. And honestly, the GPA for half of these high schools, it's like a 2.0 and below. Like, you just have to try. Like that, you don't even have to excel. Like, submit some homework, assignments, a few homework assignments there, take your quizzes, and you should be good. Like, I mean, it's not even about slacking off. You're just flat out not trying at that point. It's high school work. It's not that hard of work. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't have much sympathy as far as that's concerned.
Talking about no sympathy, you got max headroom up in the top corner.
I wonder if the decision was based on this. I mean, think about this. So I wonder if next year's football playoffs are going to look exactly like this year's playoffs were. Everybody gets in, and they go from this. Because here's where I'm thinking on this. If they're thinking everybody gets in, a lot of these teams who opted out were teams with not good records and probably had a low turnout for their football team. Or now if they say, everybody's welcome to play. Now these schools that struggle to get, say, 20, 25 kids out, now they can get 35, 40 kids come out. Now that team is maybe more likely to say, maybe we'll go into the playoffs this year. More playoff teams mean what for the OHSAA? More money. So more kids on a team, more likely to stay in the playoffs, more money for OHSAA. Just a shot in the dark, but I'm just saying maybe that's their thought. Like, hey, if everybody's eligible, more kids come out, more teams play in the playoffs, we make more money.
Listen, I mean, they don't. Go ahead.
Okay, and I'm sorry, just to comment too on what Darren Miller said before about nobody wants to be that outlier or that outlander. What he said, it goes both ways too, because if multiple schools are gonna ignore the whole grading policy and they're gonna just, what school is gonna say, okay, we're gonna set this grading policy and then just get blown away by everyone else that has all these other talented kids? And it's the same thing if you have that four-wall structure that you talked about, Paul, where it's like, this is our GPA, and a kid's just failing, and he happens to be good on the football team. He's not eligible there. Well, I could just go to this school and play then for this school. And then that school, all those kids get filtered into one school.
It boils down to this. It boils down to, when you're a kid and your mom makes you eat all your vegetables on your plate to get dessert, and dad's sitting there with a zebra cake, I would say, because that's well known in our house. If they don't eat their dessert but they pout, they still get the zebra cake, right? That's how this game. Right now, the schools are moms telling these kids that they've got to eat their vegetables, and the OHSAA is giving out zebra cake, saying, if you don't get your grades up, doesn't matter because you're gonna play anyway. It doesn't make for a good conversation between mom and dad, right? It doesn't make for a good conversation between these schools and the OHSAA, because Are we really putting the student first and student athlete if we lower the standard? I don't think so.
No, we're dumbing down our kids.
And to Coach Seidel's point, I know what he's trying to do. He's in a different situation out there, as some of our schools are. But there has to be a standard. And you want to bring kids in off the street, that's awesome. But you got to show them the work ethic to take them to a 2.0 GPA to compete. Because guess what? When they walk out of those doors, what happens? Nobody's going to give them handouts. They've got to go and compete again, and nobody's going to know about them, right? There's no Disney stories out in the real world. You get kicked down, you got to stand back up, climb a ladder, and then guess what? After 4 years of college, you get knocked down again by life. You stand back up, and as Rocky Balboa said, you see how hard you can get hit and still move forward. That's life. Like, you don't just sit there and take the punches and wait for them to tire out, because guess what? Life doesn't tire out. And I don't think lowering the bar is toughening anybody up.
It's not helping them at all. At all.
Coach Pletch saying, if you need a 2.5 to get into any college, why set a kid up for failure that he can't overcome later? I couldn't agree more.
Yep.
That's the tough part. And if we're not talking about colleges, we're talking about trades. We're talking about jobs. I mean, I don't know any business that I've ever worked for that said, you know what? You take the day off, we're still going to pay you because, by golly, we like you and you've had a tough go at it today. It doesn't happen, man. You get sick, guess what? You don't get paid. That's how it goes. You don't show up to work, you don't get paid. You don't do your job, you don't get paid. You don't show up to class in college, you don't get pushed through. Like, that doesn't work. So why do it in high school? Why set that tone? I know Mac's getting pissed. I can see him fidgeting.
I don't agree. I don't agree with it. It's not hard to pass classes. Basically, you show up. I don't really see why this is even a conversation that we're having. I mean, is there a epidemic of kids that are failing that aren't getting an opportunity to play sports? Because I don't see that happening either. So I don't even understand why we're even visiting this. Is there a kid who failed one grade semester that was going to go on to play Ohio State? Because realistically, that kid's not getting into school anyway. So to a college. So what are we talking about here?
I mean, you talk to Coach Bertolini, and he's going to tell you when he's recruiting a player,
first thing,
GPA first. It's GPA first. I mean, you have to understand what kind of person you're getting, what kind of student you're getting, and
because it falls under the character issue to me. For me, I mean, like, do you do your homework? Do you take the time out to study? Like, what kind of character do you have? Do you finish things? Are you committed? Like, those are all character questions, and it reflects on your GPA. I mean, if you do, we're talking about high school here, okay? It's not exactly, super hard to graduate, to pass, okay? So if you do all those things, you'll get a 2.5. It's just that simple.
Where's that? We got to show it.
Jeff. Yeah. If Jeff Matos could stay eligible for 4 years of high school and play sports, anybody can.
Oh, I'd take a clipping penalty to save the team's season.
It's not an intelligence issue too, and I mean, like, I want to make that a focal point. It's just being it's laziness is what I see it as, because I mean, you don't have to be a freaking rocket scientist to pass high school. You just need to try. And I mean, I think if that speaks any volumes to coaches, it should speak that if you're not trying in the classroom, why should you be on a team?
Let's look at Steve's comment here. Remote learning is hard enough on athletes and teachers now. It says, don't worry about school if remote is the new way of the future. Listen, we have had to adapt and overcome. Right? In school, I mean, back when I had to take typing classes, right? And thinking to myself, well, I'll probably use this for a while. I believe in the whole computer era. And then all of a sudden, everything's on computer. They don't teach cursive anymore. They don't do any of that. I mean, that I know of.
Try chiseling on a rock. Yeah, that was hard.
Yeah. You were making fire. Paul McFire, yay!
Hey, woo!
But
Can you imagine when we're older, when we're telling our kids and grandkids, back when I was in your age, I went to class in person?
No, because Billy, you're going to have to talk really slow to them. You're going to have to talk to them like this because there's no GPA. There's no intelligence.
We had to take tests, and they mattered.
Oh, like we're going back the other way.
Hey, kids, this is a pencil. We used to write on things.
I feel bad having to discuss this, Billy, and you're right. You know, why do we have to keep visiting this? Am I worried for the future? Yeah, I think every parent, I think every person is worried for the future right now. You look around, but what the OHSA is doing is not helping in this case. I think they think it's helping, but it's not. We went over the GPA.
Well, they're doing what they do. They're looking out for number one.
And I still don't understand in the long term. I think Paul's makes sense, but it still doesn't to me. That, Billy, you said I don't think there's that many kids out there that are wanting to play sports and have that commitment of playing sports that are failing these classes. You know, like I can think those. And listen, I was ineligible to play football my senior year. Okay, so I've lived this. But you learn from that. That was one of the I've said it before on this show. The toughest life lessons I've ever had to live through was being a lazy ass my junior year and thinking that I could excel my senior year and people would just hand it to me and I would go out and play football on Friday nights. Guess what? Didn't happen. The world doesn't cater to you. You figure that out, and all of a sudden you realize that you got to go out and work for stuff. And this is just another example of, well, we kind of want to see you on Friday nights because we need a football program, because we need a volleyball. Like, I'm sorry. If you don't have Coach Carter their ass, if you don't have enough kids eligible, right? There needs to be more people, and I know it's based on a true story at least, right?
Yep.
It is. It's a true story.
So there needs to be more people that hold their kids accountable, because I think at the end of the day, as a coach, as someone who cares about kids and student athletes, I would much rather them hold up their diploma than a first place trophy. And I don't think there's too many people out there like that anymore, and that's terribly frustrating. Terribly frustrating, because these kids need an education. They need a leg up to go out into the real world, or go to college, or go do a trade. And guess what? Those trophies are just going to get dusty and cluttered in your trophy case. And they don't matter. They don't matter. What matters is you putting these kids first and being able to get them ahead, because when they come back, their name can be on top of that trophy case because it was donated by such and such business that they now run, because you put them first as opposed to winning a trophy or winning a game. That's the difference in what we need right now for our kids.
Absolutely. And the thing is you don't look at like school. Every school does it. Every school has a Hall of Fame. And what is it? It's
not every school.
It's an athletic Hall of Fame. You know, they're not. Some schools talk about it, but not most schools don't have like a Hall of Fame of people who've gone out into the world and done something. You know, started their own business, became a CEO of a company or something like that. Like, be happy about and celebrate those kids that are your graduates and your alumni. You know, I mean, that's something I think schools could think about too. Like, celebrate those people who've went out
Munson, CDO of YSN. South Range Hall of Fame.
You know, I mean, those people out there that like have gone out and done something with their brains other than like, you know, what they've done athletically. I mean, that's unfortunately, though, that's kind of where
I'm sure they would if somebody went and got like, you know, a Senate seat or, you know, presidential, they would something like that where they're.
Hey, Joe Biden got his own street.
Yeah.
Good on him.
So,
I've always wanted my own street.
I bet they could find one in East Palestine for you.
I mean, if you get enough.
Back alley.
Listen, I know. I live on a lane, damn it. And here's the thing. if I get enough signatures, I can change that on my own. I don't need anybody else. I learned from Leslie Knope. Everything is started with a good petition. We have that. We have a Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
There you go. See?
Very cool.
Doing something right out there.
And if Matt Seidel is not in that Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame for what he's done, now, and I may, this is not a joke. This is dead serious. I say this from my heart. If there's anybody out there in Sebring that does not absolutely grovel at the fact that Matt Seidel is a huge reason of why these kids not only come to Sebring, but stay at Sebring. And I'm not just talking about football players. I'm talking about a guy that is invested in the school, in the town, in making sure his kids are lined up across the board and they can be proud to be wearing the school colors. And I know, listen, I know it looks really bad on me because I'm his friend. But if you look at the body of work that he's done, it's incredible. One of the things that he's about to embark on, he's been working his ass off for, I cannot wait to tell the world about because it is truly impressive. So can't wait for that. Mooney has a Distinguished Hall of Fame also.
There we go. So some schools out there are doing it, and great.
To South Range?
Yeah, basically. He seems to be like the type of guy. He just doesn't he doesn't need that fame, you know. He doesn't need that. He just does it for all the right reasons, and because somebody's got to do it, so it might as well be him type of deal in his mind.
He doesn't need it personally, but as a community, they should say he needs it. You know what I'm saying? You should, you got to recognize
the community should absolutely. I don't agree.
This is a grand slam right here. Read that quote, and somebody needs to tattoo it on their leg, Paul. Society continues to lower the bar for success to avoid seeing any kind of failure. Whew.
That's big.
That's deep. That's deep.
Chris just comes in with the mic drop right there.
Yeah, we're finishing on that because that is, I'm putting it up again because it deserves to be up there twice. Society continues to lower the bar for success to avoid seeing any kind of failure.
But failure is huge. You have to learn failure.
The old Michael Jordan, fail.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Fail again.
It's about standing up. And I say that, I know people are tired of hearing me talk about standing up because I'm so short. Sometimes it doesn't even matter. But
sometimes you stand up and you just, you're 4'11".
You got to stand up. I'm 5'4.5", Billy. Go eat your Lucky Charms. So, you're going to fail in life. You're going to fail. Like, it's going to happen. But it's standing up. But to Chris's point, we don't want to talk about the failures anymore. We just want pats on the back as we pass along the way. So,
isn't it crazy how some of the greatest winners of all time in any sport, they talk about so much about how they failed and what got them to win was, like think of Michael Jordan. It was losing to the Pistons to get stronger, to motivate himself to become a winner. And then finally surpassing that monkey and beating the Pistons to go ahead and then beat the Lakers finally. That's what winners do is they talk about their failures and they overcome them. It's not about how this just came easy and because the bar was so low, we just won.
Yeah, and it's funny because some people act like they hit a home run when they were started on third base. They started with a triple. And that's the frustrating part for me sometimes is, weeding out what's real from what's not. Ty, you're being called out by your dad saying, tell him about your quote. What's your quote?
Oh, there's two quotes that I live by, and there are two quotes that I'm going to end up getting tattooed on me. And one of them is from Michael Jordan, and it's one of my favorite quotes, and it's, I can accept failure. Everybody fails at something, but I can't accept not trying again. And I think that's one of the quotes I've always lived by with my life because it's true and it rings true. You're gonna fail at things, but if you fear failure, you're never gonna succeed. If you walk into a room as this glass half full person all the time, then that's all you're gonna get. You're gonna get half full. You should be walking in and asking, why isn't that glass full every single time you enter into a room? I don't know. That's my philosophy on that. And it should always be something with that mentality, because if you're afraid to fail, you're not going to get success. And the path to success is not just straight to success. It's a long, windy road that needs a lot of failures before you get to that golden trophy at the end of the road. And I mean, if you got to be able to accept life. And I mean, getting older, I mean, I realize it more, and I can only imagine what people older than me have experienced too.
Paul, is there any quotes that you'd want to tattoo on your body at any given time?
No, I think I'm done with ink, on mine.
My favorite quote: "I'm my own favorite boss," from Billy Mack.
Just
from
win,
the
baby.
archives. From
Just
the
win.
archives. Just win. That's going to do it for the that part of the show here on the YSN Power Hour. We now move on to the new and improved beef. And what was the other one?
Filet.
The filet and beef, brought to you by G. Burbick Farms. Visit them on the web at gburbickfarms.com. The filet is the high and the beef is the low. So give me your good and your bad for the day. We'll start, Paul, because you were on the show yesterday. Set the tone for us.
All right. So my low today is
beef.
Yeah, my beef today. My beef today is with just businesses, schools, just kind of not making decisions as early as they should. Basically, it's schools. Schools making their decision about what's going to happen. Either shut things down and let's go remote, or keep things open and keep on trucking. This whole one day we're this, the next day we're that, one day we're this. It's just ridiculous. It's getting annoying. My filet for today is, and maybe some people won't see it as a filet, but we have a game here tonight, and I'll be running the show. So that's how it's going to go today. I'm excited to do that, be in charge.
Running what show?
So our basketball game tonight. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, boy.
That's right.
I'll be watching on YSN. I know that. Ty,
Yeah.
What is your filet? What is your beef?
Well, to go with the beef first too. I mean, we were talking about it today as far as like lowering the standard, and I mean, my beef is with anybody that accepts a standard that's lower, bare minimum, or non-existent at all. I mean, strive for greatness, and you should always strive to be better than you were yesterday. I mean, try to be the best version of yourself every single day. So don't settle for the standard. Don't settle for subpar. Don't settle for mediocre. And my filet, I mean, it's going to be probably simple, but this weather, I mean, what's going on? December, and it's like 60 degrees out. I'm loving it. Not even having to wear a jacket right now going outside. I mean, I'm loving this weather right now. So if we could keep this around for December, I'm cool with it.
Ty was out there changing oil. He was working on cars today.
All right, we're on to Mac. I know you're a big fan of this. Filet and beef. What do you got?
My filet is the fact that I am going to work tonight here soon. Especially when I'm grateful that I am still open. I know a lot of places are closing down and small businesses are, and so I'm very thankful for that. But my beef is going to a job interview wearing sunglasses, not ordering things, and then thinking you're the shit. You're trash.
Oh, man, that's old beef. All right. Mine, hang on, I got to get this. Mine, my beef is going to be the standard that continues to be put out, that is below standard work for our student athletes. I think they need to learn to live up to some higher standards. I think they just need, we talked about it at length today. They need to learn to live up to higher standards, set the bar higher for themselves. My filet is going to be watching this GoFundMe page for Russ take off. In the last hour or so, I've seen it go up about $300, up to $1,570 with a goal of $50,000. Again, if you want to check out the chat box, I put it in earlier from YSN. Go check out the GoFundMe page from a young man battling leukemia, only a sophomore at Crestview. Again, if you have the ability or you have it in your heart to donate, please do. But that's my fillet, is the people that generosity, no matter the time of year, no matter what they have to give, continue to give to people like Russ and to the United Way, my friends Bob Hannon and Roxanne Seabest, who run that out there. I love this area, and I love it because when one of us is down, we're all down, and there's always a hand up waiting for us. So not a hand out, a hand up. So that's gonna do it for
I
tonight.
have one more beef.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
My next beef is with Coach Seidel, actually. Because he continues to not show up on the Power Hour when I know he's got some time because he posts all the time. Come on, one day a week, figure it out. Get him a my five if he has to.
The best, yeah, well, that's true. The best was last night, Coach Seidel. I was running late. I had to go from here to Sebring. Tip off was at 5:30. The GPS says I'm getting there at 5:11. And you know that it takes about 20-25 minutes to set up everything, and I had to bring the table, all that stuff. Standing there waiting for me, Coach Seidel with 2 rosters, and then every number practically on the Sebring roster was wrong. so I gave it to him at halftime. He just kind of looked at it. He's like, I gotta tell him about this. So I love, and that's why his beef is for him for not checking numbers before he gave me the roster. But he has the best seat in the house tonight at Sebring again, making sure those balls are clean on the sideline. So Coach Seidel, we appreciate all you do. Coach Miller chiming in saying, outstanding young man who never shies away from work. So make sure, again, if you're out there and you can help out Russ Hetrick, you do so. Again, in the chat is the link that you can contribute. So I ask you to go out there and give what you can. If you can't give money, give time. So I'm sure there are plenty of stuff that you can do to help this young man along the next route of his life. So thank you guys for all tuning in, and we thank you. We will see. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday with more for the Ysn Power Hour. So long, everybody.
Yeah, tune in tonight. Tune in tomorrow. Games.
Everywhere you look.